Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Jane, your favorite psychologist. Our conversation today is our eight senses. And normally we hear about the five senses. However, information is updated as time goes by. And, now we have eight. And this is important when you're thinking about brain development, the development of the child and to see how a person, their nervous system is developed to accommodate the senses that we have and aid us to navigate our world. And it is so important that we understand what goes into us navigating our world. We do this thing so effortlessly all day, air day, that we don't think about it, but they are they're so important in our ability to navigate our world, our ability to understand our world, understand what we see, touch around us, understand the idiosyncrasies of our experiences and our world. There are two different things in cognitive science. We talk about sensation and perception in cognitive science and neuroscience. And sensation is what we do. Our perception is the interpretation of that information. And so we have our eight senses. The first one here is our auditory system. And our auditory, this is for hearing, right? And our hearing allows us to hear and give us that space-time relationship. It allows us to um, have a spatial awareness. If you hear something, are you hearing it close to you? Are you hearing it far from you? Now, our ears, this is just here to collect information. Our outer ear. It doesn't interpret the sounds that we hear. That interpretation is done in our temporal lobe when we get to understand the words, because we can hear the words a person say, but not comprehend. We can formulate ideas in our head, but it doesn't come out of our mouth, right? And so our auditory sense is really there to collect information. And as it collects that information, it sends it to the brain, to the temporal lobe, where the information is interpreted. So it's interpreted in terms of pitch, emotion, and so forth that goes with the sound that we are hearing. If I say, oh, so and so is screaming, are they screaming because they're happy? Are they screaming because they're angry? Are they screaming because they're in shock or frightened of something or someone? There's an emotion that is attached to the sound, and we have to be able to discriminate that emotion that goes in that with that sound so that we can correctly and safely navigate our world. The next sense is our visual. So this is our eyes. Again, our eyes, this is a sensation. Our eyes are there to collect information. Our eyes does not interpret what we see. And so this is a sensation. Interpretation of what we see occurs in the occipital lobe in the back in the visual cortex. And that is what interprets the details of an object we see. So, what's the color of that object? What is the shape of that object? Is it round? Is it square? Is it smooth? Is it rough? Right? And so forth. So interpretation, remember, interpretation is perception. Collecting all of the information around, that is a sensation. But the information still have to be interpreted so that we can say, oh, that is a red car driving down the road. Okay. Our next sense, olfactory, and that's our sense of smell. Our sense of smell, this is another important sense. It's actually it's actually the strongest sense that we have because our sense of smell goes directly to the brain. Unlike our visual sense and auditory, there's a transmission, right? So in auditory, the sound travels um, via the auditory nerve to get to the brain and where we have interpretation. The in terms of vision, vision goes through the optic nerve to the um, to the occipital lobe where we find our visual cortex, and then it is interpreted there. And so there's that transmission of information. Whereas in smell, that doesn't happen. And so when people have traumatic event that is associated with a specific smell, that is sometimes what makes the event um, more traumatic. And if they smell that smell, it triggers that memory of that event. The next sense that we have, gustatory, and those are like the big words, right? But we always say our taste buds. And taste is an interesting one as well, because as we have this sense of taste, it allows us to identify so many different um, sensations of foods as well as taste. So is it hard? Is it crystally? Is it chewy? Does it taste sour? Does it taste sweet? And so forth. And in the sense of taste, in fact, all of these, there's a conversion of energy that occurs because our brains can only interpret an electrical impulse. And so each one of these systems have a mechanism for the conversion of that specific energy, whether it's chemical energy from taste or light energy from what we see, or sound energy from what we hear. There is that conversion mechanism where there's a conversion of one form of energy to another form of energy. And it is converted into a form that the brain can recognize, which is a neural impulse. Our next sense is the sense of touch, and that's our tactile senses. And this is also important. How hot is something? So, temperature, pressure, depth, smooth surfaces, and so forth. This is important because then this is what allows us to also feel pain, right? Our sense of touch allows us to be able to feel pain. It's interesting. There are some people who cannot feel a sensation of pain. Um, and so we have these senses, but what makes it interesting is that not everybody has them, you know. Our next one is vestibular. In vestibular, this is occurs here in our ear, and it's really there for balance, for motion, and for spatial orientation. So I'll give you this example. How do you know how high you should put your feet up when you're walking up the stair? That is a spatial orientation that you have to kind of figure out, right? So that you don't trip and fall. This is important. And so sometimes when you see people when they are not sure of their balance, or sometimes they would just veer off in one direction as opposed to another. What's going on there? This particular sense is present in our inner ear. And let me explain it to you in a different way. So, you see, when we turn around and a person spin around and they spin around, and we experience that sensation of dizziness, that is our vestibular sense going on there as the fluid in our ear that's there for balance just moves and swirls and swirl. We get the sensation of dizziness. The next sense is proprioception. Proprioception, this is another really big deal. Um, where is my hand in relation to my foot? So, position of the body part in relation to each other. Absolutely important because I don't want to trip over my own feet. It is also there for posture. Um, and it's certainly there for us to have efficiency in our movement. Very, very important. So that's proprioception. And our last one is interoception. And interoception, this is our internal awareness, so that we can maintain homeostasis or equilibrium. So, how do you know you're thirsty? How do you know you want to use the restroom? All of those things, this is the maintenance of our internal regulatory system. How do we know we're hot? And then we have to perspire, sweat, so we can cool ourselves down, and so forth. And so all of these different senses work together to help us to navigate our world and to navigate our space. Now, as we um, look at the different senses, we definitely have this idea of, okay, it's this or that as we're navigating our world, and so that we can navigate it seamlessly. Now, we do these things all day, every day, and that is what makes the human design and the human makeup absolutely incredible because every minute detail about us is at such calibration that we can it's so precisely designed. That's the word I'm looking for. It is so precisely designed, and they work together effortlessly and seamlessly to make sure that we're okay. Absolutely incredible. So, again, my name is Dr. Jane. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. And if you have any stories that you want to send in, please email it to me with regards to parental betrayal and with regards to making that transition between 18 to 24 and some of the things that you wish you didn't do. Please send those stories to me. Email it to me at parentalbetrayal500@gmail.com. And we use those stories to raise that sense of awareness as a community. Again, thank you for watching. And I am Dr. Jane, your favorite psychologist.